Villa have been poor this season. They were poor again against Everton.
Haven't
But
was saying they haven't scored a goal yet this season.
They are
in the first 4 games.
They're the only team in the top 7 divisions in England to not score a goal yet.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Watch More Football. There's been another weekend of Premier League games for us to talk about, and we'll get right into it. I am Cam, as always. Ryan's here with me, and we've got producer Ken as well. You are watching us, and thanks for watching us on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel. You'll find all our back catalogue on there of episodes. You're interested in the current football that's happening right now. While you're on there, though, check out the main Genreverse YouTube channel, because we are part of the Genreverse family of YouTube channels. And our main Genreverse YouTube channel on there covers loads of anime reactions, reviews, stuff like that. And if it's more written content, your thing, if you prefer to read your news, well, I'm one of the writers over at lrmonline.com. Check that out. I cover reviews, rumours, big entertainment franchises, that kind of stuff, Marvel, Star Wars, geek stuff. So check that out as well. But as always, we are here to talk about the Premier League and what just happened this weekend. If you're watching this for the first time, I'm a Newcastle fan. Ryan's a Manchester United fan. We sometimes also have Dave here as well, who's Chelsea, and we are going to get our Arsenal friend Rich to come on at some point in the future as well. So, as always, with our kind of look back at the weekend that just happened episode, Ryan, we have got a predictions league which we all play in, including producer Kel, who knows absolutely nothing about football. And Ryan, we're in a kind of unusual situation at the moment, so talk us through your glory moment.
I think this is going to be the only time in this podcast I'm going to have a smile on my face. But we've top scored, Cam, on 11 points apiece, and that has left me at the top of the table at this early stage. Rich, who was the early front runner, had a fairly poor week, so he's dropped down to third. Kyle
not as bad as this guy.
Yeah, Kyle is continuing to just not be good. And Mick has overtaken Dave now, and again, Dave is having a really poor season so far. We'll see.
I mean, Dave didn't start that good last year, and he ended up winning it. So
yeah, but he didn't
early
start.
Days.
He didn't start this badly either. What I would say is to anyone alarmed by the fact that I'm top of the table is it's well accepted wisdom nowadays that you can't judge table until 10 games into the season. So I think. But perhaps we can still explain this by some early season settling of the teams, and some of my more interesting picks are coming through when that might level off as the season goes on. But I'm happy to be here for now.
It might not be the same teams as last year, and they might not go the way that we predicted, but eventually you'll start to fall into a kind of who's doing well, who's likely to win each week, and it does become a bit easier to predict for a few weeks.
There are a couple of teams. I think a lot of the same teams that were good last year are good this season. There's a couple of teams that have looked poor all season consistently, but there's one or two teams that I'm struggling to get my head around. Maybe we can go into that in future episodes, but like Brentford, it's a coin flip every week with Brentford at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I think they're just that kind of team. They've been decimated quite a lot, and they've still got that spirit and the desire, I think, and I think they'll be okay in the end, but they won't finish as high as last year. That's the way I kind of see it at the moment, unless they bring in a couple in January that push them on a little bit. But I think they'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So, in terms of our predictions, I don't think there was anything too shocking happened, although there was nearly a bit of a shock at Liverpool. But let's get into our team of the week. We'll talk about maybe some of the results as we kind of walk through that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got in goal, we've got Emi Martinez, who got put straight back into the Villa team after his move to Man United didn't go through, and he turned down and moved to Turkey. And he made a couple of pretty good saves against Everton. Everton were on top throughout that game. Villa have been poor this season. They were poor again against Everton.
Haven't,
but Martinez.
saying they haven't scored a goal yet this season.
They are
in the first 4 games.
They're the only team in the top 7 divisions in England to not score a goal yet. Even Havant Waterlooville, who are in the 7th division and have been really poor this season, have scored a goal at least. So, yeah, Villa need to put their ideas up there. But Martinez made a couple of good saves, and Everton, will be disappointed not to have won that. At right back, we've got Kyle Walker, who I confess I didn't watch that game, but I listened to it on the radio. Walker's name kept coming up. Burnley had a really sort of impressive defensive rearguard, and they only lost that game because of a preventable handball right at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't think a last-minute penalty from a silly handball should negate recognition for a good defensive performance. So we've put Kyle Walker in there.
Well, I guess not. And, it is worth noting that they were down to 10 men at that point. Again, a deserved 2 yellow cards, but no complaints there, I don't think, from any Burnley fan at all about that. Yeah. But, you just kind of felt a bit unlucky for them on the day. And I think it's worth saying that Rich felt that Liverpool were absolutely jammy.
Yeah. That's been the tale of...
Because they didn't deserve it.
That's been the tale of Liverpool's season, really, hasn't it? I think... Yeah. By the end of it, they deserved to win the Arsenal game just because Arsenal didn't push the issue. But Liverpool have not looked convincing in all of their games, and yet at the crucial moment, they've come up with something. And I don't know whether you can say that's what champions... Yeah, but I don't know whether you can say that in September, can you? But we'll see.
No, because normally that's something that happens like mid-season when you just keep picking up those wins and that. But at the same time, I think last year Liverpool started really flying, and then they did drop away at the last bit of the year. So they've still got Isaac to come in as well, and he's still not actually. He didn't even feature in the bench for them this weekend, which I'm sure a few Liverpool fans would have liked to see him get 10 minutes. But there you
go. It should be said that this was quite a. Apart from a couple of games, this was quite a low-key, not very exciting weekend of football, and that is why, by virtue of the fact that he played in a 0-0 and got 3 bonus points on fantasy football, Calvin Bassey is in at centre-back for their... Yeah. Oh, no, it was a 1-0 win, wasn't it? Because Leeds had 1-0
win, yeah.
Leeds had that
scored at the
absolute glorious own goal. Absolutely glorious own goal, where it's just like... It's the sort of own goal where... If you didn't know it was a defender, you'd be thinking, "Oh, that's an amazing finish."
Yeah, I know it is. I've got to get something on it, and you just get the perfect.
He got something on it,
definitely. Or something,
Yeah, and then we got Christian Mosquera for Arsenal, who did have an excellent game against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I watched that one. I think I recommended him. I
think we were all
3/4 of the way through the game, I think. But you're right. Yeah, we're all kind of talking about him. He made some great challenges, some nice passes as well. He was excellent.
Yeah, and he's Arsenal has signed a lot of players this summer, and he sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily went in under the radar, but he's not going to be the most heralded signing, and he stepped in for William Saliba, who's one of their key players, and looks decent so far.
Yeah, I like him.
And then. At left back, I've put Tino Livramento, mainly because I just noticed him making a few good sort of interceptions and starting an attack off them just on the match of the day highlights. I didn't watch the game in depth, but that's why I sort of suggested him.
He didn't have a 9 out of 10 game or anything like that. It was probably an 8 out of 10 game. Towards the end of the game, he maybe made a couple of mistakes, but they never really cost anything. There was always people backing him up. But I think you're right that up to that point, I thought he was having a really good game. He certainly, I think we'll get him and Tonali in the team, which we'll get to. But
I mean, you can go for Tonali if you want, because he's next up. Yeah.
Oh well, that's fine then. Those were the 2 best players for Newcastle. It was I wouldn't say a comfortable win because they started really strong and Pope had to make a couple of saves. After that, you could tell it was one of those games where we've got Champions League this week. We didn't want to be pushing the boat out really. We wanted to win the game easily, and luckily, Walter Madden, you're saying, come up with his opening goal. not enough to get him in the team of the week by any stretch of the imagination. But he had a decent debut. But Tonali was excellent. And Livramento playing slightly out of position at left back. Great player. So
yeah. I mean, I don't think you can ask much more of your new striker signing than getting on the end of a cross in his first game. That's all you can hope for, isn't it?
He got a bit of cramp, because he said himself he didn't realise how much he would have, that because the Premier League is just so much more intense than what he was used to playing in Germany. But that's what every player has to do, isn't it?
And then alongside him in midfield, I'm quite surprised that Rich was a bit of a downer on this, but we've got Martin Zubimendi, who, aside from helping Arsenal boss the midfield against Forest, scored an absolute screamer to open the scoring, and then popped up with a nice.
But yeah.
And
the second one was decent as well.
It was a nice header to wrap it up, but I think even the first one, if you look at the angle behind him, as he hits it, it's just got that whip on it anyway, that it might have glanced off the defender's head, but it was already going there regardless.
Yeah, just give it that extra tiny little bit of extra.
But it was a hell of a hit regardless. And it was just me and Dave both said when the corner got cleared out to him and it just fell to him, we were both like, he's going to absolutely thump this, and he did. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've got Lucas Bergvall. I think it's Lucas. Is his first name? Yeah, Lucas Bergvall from Spurs in midfield, who again scored a really nice header to open the scoring. Oh no, he didn't open the scoring. No, it was the second goal, wasn't it? Really nice header, and then he got the assist for the third. He had a good game. I think Xavi Simons probably could have taken that spot as well. I thought he had a good game for Spurs, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think considering the assists and the actual goals, getting your name on the sheet, if you like, I think you have to give it to Bergvall.
Yeah, and then we've got I think he's our first repeat pick of the season, is Antoine Semenyo at right wing. He set up Bournemouth's first, which was a really nice goal from Alex Scott, but it was well set up from Semenyo, and then he put away a penalty to win it for them at the end. But he's just having a quality season this season.
I just can't. I'm surprised he's still there.
Yeah.
To be honest, when everybody was going for all these wingers this year, no one seemed to go. But I think part of that was that he just wasn't pushing to move either.
Yeah,
he was I'm happy where I am, and if you're not getting the feeling from a player, you're not going to push for him.
But also,
fair play to him.
Because of the other business they did, Bournemouth didn't exactly need to cash in on him either. So
no.
So they, I think they're always still going to be a selling club just because of the resources they've got. But they still want to try and improve and push for Europe.
Again, last year he started playing more on the left, and now this year he's kind of.
I think he just sort of
again
pops up wherever. But I mean, I do think there's something in. He actively wanted to stay, because you remember the first game against Liverpool, he was an absolute menace to Milos Kerkez in a way that looked sort of personal, like I'm going to absolutely dominate you, even though you've got your big money move to Liverpool.
He's just a player that's happy at the club he's at. They love him, he loves them.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's a nice place, Bournemouth. There's worth
it's not all about money.
Yeah. And then on the other wing, we've got Jeremy Doku, who in what I think was quite a low quality Manchester derby, I think Doku was the best player on the pitch. He was constantly having a go at United players. The way that he set up the first goal for City, where he danced through 2 or 3 defenders and Manuel Ugarte sort of got something on it on the box to just take it away from him. And Ugarte thinks that's going out for a corner, that's fine. Doku goes, no, I'm going to keep it. And he sort of gets to it on the byline, turns, and as he's off balance, just sort of pokes it towards Foden to head back in. Yeah. It just, that encapsulates the difference between City and United in that game, which, I think we're going to go into more detail in the next episode.
We probably will, as we're kind of looking ahead at our teams a little bit more. But I agree with you on that specific game. I don't think it was a great game. I think, and maybe indicative of the fact that there was no yellow cards in the whole game. And usually in a derby, there's just that fire. And Doku, to be fair, wanted it. He was the one trying things, and that made the difference. And the next City player.
And yeah, we've got Erling Haaland up front at striker, and from the first 30 seconds he was a menace. He had a shot that just sort of went
really
wide.
Good game.
You know, he could have had 4 or 5.
He doesn't always have a good overall game, Haaland, but he was still banging in 3 goals. But I thought he played quite well overall.
He was involved. He put the defence under a lot of pressure. No, they never looked comfortable. He took his 2 goals well. He had chances to get a couple more. It was a really good performance from him, and he's had a good week because he put 5 past Moldova for Norway the other day as well. So disappointed, but we're not going to.
I was going to say that's a bit easier than putting 2 in against Man United.
Oh,
not so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our team of the week. So it's probably worth noting that we'll let you do the Dave's thoughts on the Chelsea team and the fact that they whimpered to a draw, shall we say?
Yeah. So
this weekend.
Yeah. So they drew 2-2 with Brentford. What I would say is, prior to the derby, we had Kevin Schade from Brentford in up front. He took his goal really well to open the scoring, and then he lobbed in an absolute rocket of a long throw to get the late equaliser, which Dave has got thoughts on, which I'm just finding now. So Dave's report: another disappointing performance from Chelsea that would have been masked had they won at the end there. He's still hoping that the Club World Cup has caused them to not be at it and to be a bit leggy, which, possibly means that as the season goes on, they'll get better. I'm not sure that that's, quite what's going to happen. I think if you're knackered, you don't suddenly get less knackered by the end of the season. But we've not fully controlled a game this season, and every team apart from West Ham has been able to match our intensity. Chelsea yet again caught out on the counter, where Tosin is unable to do much at a 1v1 situation. This time it counted. He's obviously referencing that Fulham goal from the other week. We also greatly struggled against Brentford's long throw routines, evident by the late conceded goal, which I'll add shouldn't have counted for 2 reasons. Here we go. He was properly getting into it in the group chat about this, wasn't he? So there was an offside and a foul where Collins pushed Tosin and Chalobah in the back, leading to them to both misheading the ball. I think if both of your centre-backs are getting bullied by the one player, I think that's your issues are elsewhere. But yeah, I have also seen that there was sort of an offside from the initial flick on. That was the one that maybe for me I thought was that missed or whatever. But yeah, no commentator mentioned it. VAR turned a blind eye to it, despite already chalking goals off this season for it. But the footage is clear as day. But I feel we won't get much sympathy considering the uproar of Fulham's disallowed goals against us. And also, you're a Champions League club, Dave. Get over it. You can't get hard done by the refs if you're a Champions League club. That's how it works.
World champions, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop mourning. But no,
he's got a bit more.
I think Chelsea are doing absolutely fine for where we all think they are.
Yeah.
Top 4, but not challenging for the title. That's where we think they're going to be the one that sits in between, ahead of everybody else, but not quite challenging, whereas the other 3 might be in a title challenge. I think you expect it, and I don't think that's going to change until the Chelsea players become more experienced, or they buy in more experience, and they're not going to buy in more experience, so it takes the young ones to build that experience themselves. Now they're in the Champions League again this year, they're going to get that. I think I love Caicedo. I think the 2 best in the league are Caicedo and Tonali, in terms of, you don't always notice them, but they're always there doing the hard work, doing the dirty work for everybody, and running about and just getting the ball and moving it on, and you need that. That.
And Caicedo's goal was an absolute peach as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To make it 2-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He nearly got one himself. Actually,
he had a bit of criticism for a couple of players. So he thought currently feels like we're really struggling to get the ball to the attackers. That's because everyone in the team is an attacker. Gittins looked a little bit lost out there. Garnacho looked a little better and got himself an assist, but his negative defensive side showed as he didn't track the attacker for the equaliser yet. He lost his man at the back post for the equaliser, but he did set up Caicedo's goal and almost set up Palmer for the for a winner right at the end. And Palmer came on and obviously made an instant impact for them, and he should have had a couple more goals
goal
as well.
He scored as well.
Yeah, really nice finish.
I don't get Gittins yet.
Yeah.
You know, I have to admit, I don't see the big attraction of him. I haven't seen any footage. It makes me think somebody likes him and maybe the Kyle.
Well, no, I think what it is it is a very Chelsea signing, in that he's very young and he's English and he's a pacey winger, and that is somebody that Chelsea think they can flip. The problem is they spent $50 million on him.
That's the thing with me. It's all about flipping players rather than sometimes building a good squad with Chelsea. At some point, they need to come in. I say this as the world champions, but that was a bit of an unexpected result, though. I think most people agree. And I don't think anybody thinks they're favourites for the Champions League this year or anything, or even the Premier League. So, they do seem to be more about the business than the building the squad. Like, for example, I think Madueke's done really well since he joined Arsenal. Yeah. And I look at him and I think I think he's a better player than Gittins. I don't see the point buying Gittins, but it's all about keep the money cycle going.
And it's because they've got so many attackers, it's like a constant revolving door, so none of them can go in and be the main man. You've got obviously Palmer, who when he's fit, his first name on the team sheet. You've got João Pedro, who's doing a really good job there. And then Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo in midfield, they're pretty much mainstays. But Madueke has really done well for Arsenal because he's being relied on at Arsenal. And he never really got that chance at Chelsea. And if he'd played a full season as first choice, he might have done really good things. But it's because he only gets a chance every couple of games that he wasn't really able to make an impact there.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the same.
I do find it hard to work out sometimes what Chelsea's plans are.
You're going to have the same with Gittins and Garnacho fighting over the left-hand spot. You've got Estevao and Pedro Neto out on the right. Pedro Neto is a really good player, but he's just sort of the forgotten man there now. And it's...
I think we talked about this in the chat before, but I think it's just a case of Chelsea buy 2 players for every position. Which one does well keep, which one doesn't sell. And because they're selling them so quick and they're still getting game time, they're either keeping their value or they're increasing it because they're so young. And that's their plan, is just to keep kind of going through that cycle. It's a strange one, but like I say, they won the Club World Cup, so who am I to criticise?
Yeah, and we'll see how they get on in the Champions League. I think that squad rotation, they're going to struggle with that more in the Champions League, just because they can't play their C team. I mean, they might be able to at the back end of the league phase, but as soon as it gets into the business end, they're not going to be able to send a team of reserves to Kazakhstan like they did last season, are they?
So teams we're still worried about, and we'll finish up the show on this one because I think it's too early to talk about the title rivals yet, because they're all playing well and they're all winning games. But who's still not impressing you at this moment in time?
I mean, Aston Villa, there's something definitely wrong there. Ollie Watkins just doesn't look on it this season at all, and none of the attacking signings they've made, I don't think they're going to turn the dial. They've got Evan Gesson from Nice, who's still quite raw. They've got Jadon Sancho.
Young,
They've got Jadon Sancho, who
has he played yet?
I don't think he came on Saturday.
No.
And it just felt like a deal that they did because they could. Harvey Elliott is an interesting one, but how much is he going to step on the toes of Morgan Rogers? Because they're very similar players, aren't they?
I like Morgan Rogers, and they're trying to play him this year more as a 10. I like Rogers on the left, actually, and I like Elliott on the right. So where does that then fit in Sancho? So I think the idea is Rogers, Sancho, Elliott at some point with Watkins in front of them. But I don't know. There's something about Rogers in the middle that I just think he'll maybe progress into it, but he just needs that little bit of security of being on the left or the right.
For now. I think West West Ham are still in trouble. Graham Potter is still on thin ice. I think they had that shock result against Forest before the international break, but they've just looked poor all season. You can't really see what he's trying to do there. The midfield's not right. They've lost Thomas Souček to a red card now, and he's going to be out for a few games. And there's nothing really to go on there. And then Wolves are Wolves are the same as they've always been. They've sold their best player. They're going to struggle. They'll sack their manager by Christmas and make a couple of signings for 10 million quid, and they'll just about scrape through.
It's like in the game against us, there was tons of effort, and like they've got a good team spirit and everything like that. But there's a lack of quality. There is a lack of quality. Like, you feel, other than catching us cold, even when they were trying to hit us in the break, they were, it was more just park the bus and try and get a 0-0. That's what it felt like to me, or a lucky hit in the break. Another one I would say is a bit like that is Burnley. I think, again, they've showed that they can defend well, but I don't see what they've got going forward though at all. I don't see where the goals are going to come from that team. And you can't go through, like, you draw 0-0 every game, that's only 30, and you won't. But that's 38 points. That might keep you up, but you need some wins somewhere, especially at home.
In recent seasons, 38 points is more than enough, to be honest. But it won't happen.
You're probably right, but it won't happen. It won't, because you're not going to go and get 0-0s against Liverpool, Arsenal, all these big teams in the big stadiums. It's not going to happen.
But it was always going to be the way, because Burnley got promoted off the back of, like, barely conceding any goals in the Championship.
And for sure.
The promoted teams that have gone straight down trying to play positive football. So I think it's the right thing for Burnley to try and continue it, but they just haven't got any goals in that team.
I don't know where they still need to get some for somewhere to win the odd game.
Sunderland have made a good start to the season, and they've actually got at teams, not in a not in a sort of play out from the back like Company's Burnley or Russell Martin Southampton, but they've just been intense, a bit more like when Brentford came up, when Forest first came up. They were compact but direct, and they were quick, and they made teams uncomfortable. And
there was a threat.
So I think,
and it's the same with Leeds. I don't see the threat in them so much. Again, good defensive unit. They're not trying to play, like Farke's done in the past, and tried to play the same football he did in the Championship. Again, I'm not seeing where the goals are coming from Leeds. So that's the ones I think that are gravitating towards the kind of.
But I mean, as I've been saying since the back end of last season and all summer, it's less about how good the promoted teams are and about who is bad enough to go down out the league. That's the more important factor, I think.
Okay, well, I guess that kind of basically wraps up this episode. We will be back to discuss, as we always do, what's next kind of thing, and looking at our next set of predictions. We'll get some Champions League games coming up. In fact, while we're recording, there's some of them on at the moment. And we'll be looking a little bit more at our teams, which are Manchester United and Newcastle specifically, in our next episode as well. So check that back. A couple of days' time, that'll probably be up there if you enjoyed this. Give us a like and subscribe as always. And please remember to check out the Genreverse YouTube channel and also lrmonline.com if you like. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.